Welcome to the Foreign Co podcast. Today we got Regan Weiss with us, and I said that right, Weiss or
Weiss?
Weiss, yes.
We got German there, really Weiss.
Yeah,
Regan
Weiss.
Weiss. Feel strong.
And I'm a big fan of Reagan. But Reagan is kind of a tradesman of all different things, not just construction. He does a lot of different things. So I'll let him speak a little bit more about what he does and who he is.
I'll take it. Thank you. Thank you for having me here, guys.
Thank you.
I'm a tradesman of all different things. And that lovely voice, how he just draws everybody in with that calm. I love it. That's
Says the
nice.
one who has the radio voice.
Yeah, I like it. Okay, so I'm Regan Weiss. Thank you for having me here today. I do, first and foremost, I like to lift up people. That would be the first thing I do with my lots of trades of things that I do. I'm a fractional owner of a contracting company with my partner, Nick Holmes, the CEO. We build barndominiums as well as homes. And that's the niche was barndominiums at first, but we found out that we're going to wind up building more homes than barndominiums. So either which way, we're blessed to do it. And how I got into construction was many moons ago. When I left college, I went to school for broadcasting, and I wanted to get into radio. And I wanted to be the radio guy, the radio voice, and all that fun stuff. And then I realized there was no money in it.
Oh, yeah.
Especially back then. Mm-hmm. And $30,000 was probably like the top paycheck. So that wasn't happening. So actually my father was in real estate and my father was in construction. And my father said, "Hey son," he's like, you wanna get into real estate? He's like, "You're just working at a gym, you're done with school. What are you doing? What are you doing with your life?" He's like, "You're dating that girl," but it was one of those type things. I said, "You know what, Dad, I'll try it." He's like, I'm like, "Where do I start?" So I listened. My dad had 3 sons, 2 daughters, and I'm probably the only one that listened. And I'm glad I did because he led me on the right path. And at the end of the day, I started as a model minder. So back in those days, internet was there, but not like it is now. Gosh, I'm just aging myself. Really nice, Robin. Thank you. So back in that day, I actually would go on the weekend and I'd be the model minder. So someone would come in to look at the model to build a house. And all I would simply do back then is take information and then I would hand it off to the salesperson. I was like, why am I not selling? This is the easiest job on the planet. And back then it wasn't selling, it was order taking. Yeah. That's when it was really booming in Florida, more than ever you can think before. And so I went to the owners of the company and I said, "Hey, Craig and Craig." I said, "Craig, you got to give me a shot here, man." He's like, "You know what? Okay." He's like, "Your father's done fantastic for us." He goes, "Apple probably doesn't fall far from the tree. Let's go. Bring you in there." And I killed it. And I became rookie salesman of the year. I was selling stuff left and right. And they blessed me. There's a development in Newport Richey called the Reserve at Golden Acres. And for the people that live in Newport Richey, Florida, will understand that these were all acre properties. And what was really cool about this property is that the developer was a super Christian man. So every street was like Holy Spirit Court, Creation Way. Like it was really, really cool. So he said, "You know what? We're just going to give you a shot. We're going to give you the Reserve at Golden Acres." Mind you, I was only in my 20s.
Yep.
Okay, every 45 and up sales guy was very upset at this moment, and salesperson. And he blessed me. He gave me that development and we sold it out like crazy. I was 23 years old. I built my first house at 23 because of those people. And I'm forever grateful for Craig and Craig. So that's how I started. But when 25 rolled around, I recognized that they put me in a position of basically sales training. So people would come in and like, "Oh, go shadow Reagan. Go shadow. He knows what he's doing. Go shadow Reagan." So people would shadow me, like, "Why am I not the sales manager getting a VIG off of everyone else's sale? You're too young. No one's going to listen to you. You don't." And Reagan, by the way, you don't know enough about construction. You know how to sell, but you don't know enough about construction. I was like, noted. And 6 months later, I no longer was employed there. I became the customer service supervisor at D.R. Horton, the largest builder in the United States, to learn construction. So I left a 6-figure job. My wife thought I was nuts. We had a little girl at the time. So this is over 20 years ago now, just to age me out. And I left to learn construction. And I worked for the largest builder in the United States, and that's where I learned everything. And I met a man, so this is how the story is cool, it's going to connect. I met a man named Joe Gillespie, who later we became great friends, and who later on I was able to hire down the road for my company to work with me and take him away from that builder, which is really cool. And he's the one who taught me the majority of construction, how to do things the right way. So I worked for D.R. Horton for quite some time, and I learned the construction aspect of it. So now I have marketing on my side, right? Broadcasting on my side, salesman on my side, and now construction, going into my own construction company. So did that, had a construction company, built it up, did really well, sold my portion of it, said I would never get in construction again because I enjoyed marketing more than anything. So I want to stay in marketing and consulting side. I always did marketing consulting on the side just because I loved it. Anyway, long story short, not to let this carry on, sold that company and I said, I'll never do construction again. And a month and a half later, my friend, Nick Holmes, owns a company called Holmes Drafting Services, and he's also an engineer. So he's putting a presentation together, and he sent me this morning. He actually found the post that he made online, which was in the Hub, we'll talk about that in a second. And he made a post on the Hub Network on Facebook, and he said, I need a name of a construction company that would be really cool. And I'm like, why wouldn't Nick just call me? So I write on the post, I'm like, Nick, I have something that's going to supersede everything. It's going to crush everything. Call me. He goes, let's go to lunch. Go to lunch like 2 days later. We meet at the Red Mule. You got to go. It's a hole in the wall in a strip plaza in Brooksville up in Hernando, Florida. You go in, they have like the best roast beef sandwiches and trinkets hanging from the wall. It literally is the hole in the wall place. And we go and we sit at lunch, and he's like, all right, tell me what your idea is. I said, I always had this idea before my other company. I said, I wrote 3 names down on a sheet. And my first construction company, which I won't go into the naming on that stuff, but I chose that name. I went through it. I did it. There was shields and swords and all these cool things, but that was childish of me, but it was cool at the time. But the second name I wrote was the Contractor. And I said, if you ever think about it, if you ever want to build a house, do a remodel, who are you going to call? You call the Contractor. Yeah. I said, how can we do that? How can we tie that? And he goes, I like it. I'm like, okay, so what does that mean? So he says, Reagan, I'm getting an abundance of leads for barndominiums. And I'm handing these things out to people left and right, to builders, when we can probably be doing it ourselves. Why would I not just filter these own leads? I already have a drafting service. Mm-hmm. I'm getting the leads through that anyway. It's just a home run. I'm like, so what are you proposing, Nick? He's like, let's start a construction company in barndominiums. I'm like, oh man, I just got out of this. I don't want to do it. Long story short, we went forward, and within 10 days we implemented, and we had another business called The Contractor. Within 10 days of leaving my other company. It was insane. And we were dormant for a long time. We were very quiet, working behind the scenes, working things up. Nick was very smart of Nick. He created a website called floridabarndominium.com. No contractor, no Regan Weiss, no Nick Holmes, no nothing, no names, just floridabarndominium.com. 90,000 visits in 3 months. Mm-hmm. That's how many people were intrigued for barndominiums. So we're like, all right, we got something here. Plus his normal leads off of the drafting company. So went through that process, kept quiet, and we met with a gentleman named Alex Deeb. And if you don't know that name in this area, in the Tampa area, the Deebs built this area. They completely built this area. They were the developer. And this was there's a bunch of Deeb names, but the Deebs is Alex, Rick, and Tom Deeb. These are the real Deebs. And these individuals actually developed all this land, and they could buy me and Nick in a second. They're pretty liquid. They could probably buy anybody in this county in a second. And we met with them because I had a relationship with Alex, and I was actually marketing with him as well. So we said, Alex, we just kind of want to pick your brain a little bit. And we went in, sat with him, and he told us all these things about how to grow company, this, that, and the other. We didn't say anything about barndominiums. So I looked at Nick. He looked at me. He's like, should we talk? Let's bring it up. So we brought it up, and we just watched his eyes get so big when we were talking about barndominiums and what we were going to do. And at that time, he literally just could have took the idea and ran with it. Mm-hmm. There was no NDA. There was no nothing in that room. There was just hopefully trust, and we go forward.
Just a thought and an idea.
Nick and I left that room, and we walked outside in the parking lot. I'm like, we just screwed up. We're dead. He's going to run with this, and he's going to go. I go, we're implementing tomorrow. We launched everything the next day. Contractor.com, Facebook, YouTube, like all of it the next day. I'm like, we got to implement now because who knows? We didn't know. Lo and behold, Alex D was a man of his word. Never wanted to touch, never wanted to do anything, but we just didn't know that at the time. Yeah. We've built such a great relationship now within that time. He's given us ideas. He actually talked about being a partner in the company at one point because he saw what we did so quickly. So we built a huge friendship out of that. And quite frankly, he became a mentor to me in the time and inception of the contractor, because he's just always giving us information at no cost. Yeah. And it became so awesome. He actually brought me on to his company to consult from the marketing from a construction point. Like, just think about the circle of that all within this year. Anyway, so that's a part of it. And the contractor was born, construction was born. But on the side, we have the Hub Network, we have 43 Inc., and these are all things that I've been passionate about, and helping people and lifting people in the community, collaborating with individuals like you. I'm more passionate about that than anything. That's to lift another person, to watch them succeed, to give them a nugget of information where I might have failed in life so they don't fail in life. And I see them go on vacation. I see them be successful in business. That gets me. Mm-hmm. And I know I had a little bit to do with that. And that's why I'm more drawn to the marketing and public speaking side and lifting other people's stuff. I've talked a lot. I'm going to shut up right now. Does that fill you guys in? There's a lot more, but I
think if you're trying to full encompass what Reagan is,
that's what a podcast is.
That's a good run-on sentence. To say
good. Yeah, that's my life. I'm a run-on sentence. I am grammatically incorrect in every aspect of my life. I have people to fix that for me. So Robin knows. So what else we got?
So and it's and I think it's you've played a good part in connecting us with people in the beginning, and it was kind of funny. I think it was the first day we met. It was in the building, and I think you were here to meet with somebody else. I think
we were doing
No, he came here.
I came to meet you.
Yeah.
I don't know who got me here. Who brought me in?
I think it was Anthony Fonte.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anthony Fonte.
Yeah.
He's like, you got it. And he's a good connector too. If he sees someone that wants to, he's like, I see this energy there. We got this energy. We got to go. I'm like, all right, I'm coming. Calm down. So I came to see him in the cool office, and I walked in and I said, what is this? Like this doesn't even belong here. And I still till this day have the same feeling when I come here. I'm like, this belongs in like California somewhere. So in a safe place.
In a safe
place somewhere.
That's not burning down right now.
Not, yeah, right. Yep, we won't go there. Sorry about that. California. But yeah, so I fell in love with this place, and then I met Mama, and we hit it off. Like immediately, we connected on a really strong mental level, and then I met the rest of the family, and your husband, and the rest is history.
That's right.
It's they're great people. Let's turn it back to them, because they're great people. Let's just interview them now, because that's what this is all about. But no, seriously, Foreign Co is awesome. You have us on
your podcast, and then you can do that.
100%.
All right.
100%. But yeah, so anyway, as we met, and then we went from there.
So, trials and tribulations, things happen in life. Not where you thought you were going to be. You were the rock star college football player.
Thanks for that. I feel better about myself right now.
Injury sidelines
people,
right?
I would say this. You got to have, this better than anybody as in the contracting world. One of the things you have to have as an individual is patience.
Yes, this is correct. Contracting is adult babysitting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, you guys know, because you built quite an empire here. And I'm sure you had to deal with a bunch of trades and Floridian trades on top of that. Yeah. So bless you.
So patience is being one of them.
Yes.
When you also have to think about it as having a little bit of endurance. So when you go through, I guess, looking back reflectively on the situation of building like right now you're doing your home process. You're speaking earlier, right? What is the mentality you have to keep and remind yourself when you're waking up, like how to do that? Consistently say like I believe and have faith and trust that what we're doing right now is for the better. We're working through it, no matter the chaos and the delays, the pushbacks that always happens, because in construction it's inevitable.
Basically, how do you not burn out?
Quite frankly, and I say this to customers too while we're building them a house, or if a remodel was happening, that if this was to be a race, it would be a marathon. And that's the mindset that I have to go into, because if you ever ran a marathon or even a half marathon, things are going to happen. You get seize up, your joint seize up. It's the rigor mortis even kicks in because your lactic acid is up there. So I try to articulate to everybody, like, it's a marathon. Things are going to happen. You're not going to be able to run full speed the whole entire time, and you have to have patience. And the key word is acceptance. And once you have, that's in life. But if you have acceptance in anything you do, you just have to accept it and move on. The people that stress out, go crazy, can't accept where there's failures in a construction job or in business. It doesn't matter. It could be, your SOPs fail or whatever the case is, you have to have acceptance. And once you have acceptance, you can deal with anything. That's the truth.
Definitely. Yeah. The one thing I will say during building this building that I refused to accept it was the truck broke down reason. And the first time, you have grace. It happens. Yeah. It's going to happen. But after the 5th, 7th time, you're like, these trucks really suck. You guys need to get new trucks, or you guys just lying to me.
Yeah.
And
it's a very common excuse.
Yeah, and it was very much. I think building this building, it taught me the 3 things to accomplish anything in life: you plan, you organize, you communicate.
Right.
You do those 3 things really well, your marathons get better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
your time kicks in.
Exactly.
It's better.
And I think it's the one thing we heard from our contractor all the time is, well, things happen. Okay, I understand things happen, but what's our contingency plan? What's if this doesn't work on the timeline? What's our backup?
Right.
And sometimes that didn't happen, And I think that's like what puts certain contractors heads and shoulders above others. It's
in today's world, if you call back, show up on time, and do what you say you're going to do, you're a successful contractor.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
It's literally that simple.
It is.
And you can go online to any forum, Trinity Chat, Land O'Lakes Moms, The Hub, whatever, and you see the complaints, and it's simply didn't call back, didn't show up, wasn't here on time.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
If we can do those things, people will talk about you to the masses and say you're fantastic. Yep. This was a very large-scale job, probably one of the large-scale jobs in this area for quite some time, and you managed it. That's a miracle in itself that you guys were a part of it, because most people, there's no way they can handle it because of what you witnessed. Right. And the excuses, and this is late and that is late. It's a lot, but you're there.
No, in all seriousness, you took a family that has no background reputation in construction or a name in the area, so to speak.
Yeah.
And you say they're going to be the ones leading it, and it's a family of 4.
Right.
And 2 young adult men in their 20s. Yeah, right.
That
this
have no
is
construction
fail
experience.
And go in a nosedive.
I'm waiting for the book. I'm not joking, because it's a good read.
We went into the first architectural meeting, and they looked at the 3 of us, because we didn't go with Ramon the first time, and they went, "You're kidding, right? Like we're the real people coming in with this project."
Yeah.
But they weren't rude.
Right.
They just gave the impression like, yeah, okay, got it, okay. And they tried to push us more or less in a nice way in the direction they wanted us to go to. Mm-hmm. It took us 3 meetings for them to finally go, oh, you're not budging, where you really do want to do it this way. Like, yeah, this is the way we really are going to do it.
They also kind of looked at us like we were crazy when having a design build, so having the contractor involved in the design process.
Yeah.
Because one thing we read in our little research is the biggest issue is the disconnect between the contractor and the architect.
Oh, yeah.
And the architect will build something that's not physically possible to build.
Engineered, yeah. It's not no value engineering, which causes issues.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah. And so we did that. And even then, we got a little bit of resistance, because we were bucking the norm a little bit,
right,
or what was comfortable. And
the next part was the architect's asking, so who's the designer on the project? Mm-hmm. And we're like, we are. Well, we have some really good in-house designers. Right. We could
immediately. Well, because like you said, they have in-house, and they know how to work. It's manipulation, like I talked about last night, and they want to manipulate them to utilize their people, so it's as stress-free as them as possible. Mm-hmm. You guys have your finger on the pulse of the project, and they don't want that. They want that to deviate as quickly as possible. But look what you did. So.
We are absolutely. We know we're an anomaly in the situation and what we did, and we can do it again, and we'll do it again. So there's lots of other aspects to it. Sometimes it takes zooming out of a situation and being able to see it from a different type of level and scope. It still can be profitable. You still can maximize what's needed, and you can still make people happy along the way.
Agreed.
So that you have a successful project for all. Not always the easiest thing to do in financing world. Banks are very risk adverse. They do not want to accept risk whatsoever. Right. We were in a bad position in that sense, because we were a new build construction, an office building, and it was COVID.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
Oh, and on top
no
of
one
it,
wanted to loan any money.
We don't do long-term leases. We do everything month to month. The only thing we do is first and last month.
And it was projection from a small scale to a much larger scale. So there's no background. There's no history. There's no proof in the pudding. Okay.
Yeah.
No one wanted to take a chance on that. That was a lot of risk, but it got done. So here we are on the flip side of it. And I'm going to turn this back to you because you've faced adversity. And not just once or twice, probably multiple times in your life that you've had to overcome and come back out of.
Sure.
And something that I have seen in knowing you, you are an incredible facilitator. You connect people, you see a vision, you see something better than they see it in themselves, or you see quality in a person and you hone in on it and you're like, that person has got something that no one else has got.
Yes.
And I know that could bring greatness out of them. But I need to connect them with someone else over here who can help pull that part out of them and it'll make success for them. How did you develop that skill?
I recognize being a cheerleader for others is a success, key of success. I recognize that I always kind of needed a cheerleader in life, and that person that brought the best out of me was my father, always believed in me. I have visions of my father. This might sound crazy to your audience and you guys, but of literally me in the crib and what am I, 2? 1, 2? And my father just doing the Superman flex. And I remember like the edge of the bed, my crib was at the edge of the bed. His closet was to the left. Like I remember it all. And he would always say, you're Superman, you're Superman. Go get him, Ray. Go get him, Sam. My middle name's Sam. So go get him, Sam. So I always had a cheerleader in life. And then I knew that. I'm like, how many people, I talked to Jordan Lung about this today, about how many people don't have a cheerleader in life. How many men or boys have grown up without the right path or fathers in their life, or young women that never had a father to push them in the right area or believe in them. So I don't know if it's empathy or what gift I was bestowed, but I could feel that when a person doesn't truly believe in themselves, and I could see where the doubt is. But I know how that feels too, because I have self-doubt. We all have self-doubt.
Sure.
But for some reason, I have this confidence to be able to talk about it, about myself, and then pull that out of them. And so I didn't develop, it was a gift. I didn't develop anything. I recognized it, honed in on it, and I know I've had it forever. Even when I was a kid and I recognized like a friend was hurt, my job was to come in as like a comedic relief and make them feel better. Like, hey, we'll get through this. We'll get over it. I was just always that guy. If my buddy fell off a bike or something, I don't know, somebody threw an acorn at somebody and it hurt them, I would want them to feel better. So I just recognized that in life, and I said, why not hone in on that skill even more and always lift people up? So it's being in a low spot of life or feeling down on yourself is not good, and the majority of society feels that way. That's why we have depression medicine and abundance of it, and everyone's depressed and this, that, and the other, and we see commercials about it. I think if we all cheerleaded each other a little bit more, we wouldn't have these issues. So development, I don't know if I developed it so much, but I just always had it in me to just lift others and draw out the goodness in them. I could see something in someone and I say, okay, now I got it. Now we're going to lift it out. All they need is confidence. That's it. The more confident we are, I don't care any aspect of life, issues with a girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, wife, spouse, teacher, this, that. If you have confidence, you're going to walk right through it. But if you're beat up, and you walk around like a beat-up dog and tuck your tail between your legs, you're going to get life beat you up. So I said, why would anyone want to do that? Why aren't we walking around with energy? Why aren't we walking around with passion? Why aren't we talking with passion? Why aren't we lifting everybody up? Why are we not doing that? So that's why I wanted to create that culture within the hub and do that. And I will tell you, not everyone likes some guy speaking up, especially when he's 6'2", 250 pounds. They think you're a bully type person, when all I really want to do is just lift. So I hope that answered that question in some which way.
No, I mean, you want to be that voice that can always keep basically the constant drum beat in a battle.
Yes,
and it's
perfect.
It's that constant, consistent beat saying, keep going, we're going, keep going, we're going.
Why not lead? Why not lead in anything that you do? Why wouldn't you want to lead your family? Exactly. Right? You guys are still younger than me, and you're about to build your families in life. You're going to lead your family in the right direction. But why can't we have that same philosophy about how I'm going to lead my family? Why can't we lead our community? Yeah. Why can't I lead the tribe of individuals, beating the drum, if you will, and leading our community in the right direction? People don't get it. They're like, you're a cult. This is weird. This is odd. Why are you? I'm not. All I'm saying is Let's do positive things and awesome things together. And hate comes for that, which blows my mind because this thing has poisoned this country to an extent. It's the best and the worst gift
Correct.
on the planet,
And
depending on how they
values
utilize
used,
the tools utilized.
Yeah, it's just like a hammer. You can kill people with a hammer, or you can build a house with a hammer.
Indeed.
Like it depends how you use it.
Indeed.
And it's but I think having that opposition is always good because it means you're on the right path, right? You got to, and not to get biblical or anything, but
Nothing wrong with that too, buddy.
Jesus preached a lot about love and positivity, you know, and got a lot of pushback for it.
Yep.
Got crucified for it, let alone just because he said, "Follow me," you know, follow me, and your life will be saved.
Yeah.
And got crucified for that. So, and I think having that pushback is always good, and in a way, it kind of allows some self-reflection. Is like maybe it is what they're saying right, wrong? Is there truth and a little bit of truth in what they're saying, and a whole lot of lies, right? And I think it's because when you get into a feedback loop of just hearing yourself in an echo chamber, it kind of, for the times I found myself in those times, it gets a little bit discerning. You're like, I want somebody to call me crazy. I want somebody to tell me like, you're outlandish. You're not, because if you're not pushing against the grain, it means you're going with the grain, you know? So I think a lot of the times, and it depends on which direction you're pushing against it though, you know? Are you going to be pushing it the hardest way possible, or are you going to be weaving through it? But you're still going against it, and you're still finding the easiest way possible. But I think it's having pushback is always a good sign you're onto something good.
I agree.
And it's
you can't let it consume you.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I think that was a big failure of me in the beginning. I was so consumed with the antis. I'm like, why do I care? You're never going to buy from me. You're not my audience. You're not really watching what I'm doing. You're not going to help my bottom line. You're not going to help my people. Go away. And
it's either fear or love. You know, people operate out of fear or love. Yeah. The people that follow you operate out of love, and the people that don't like you operate out of fear.
Do you feel you can operate on both?
I definitely. You can still love something and have a little bit of fear, but it's a matter of what's the majority, right? And the people that are being outspoken against you, it's like I've never understood people on the internet that are comment people. I've never been a comment person. I've grew up with the internet.
Yeah.
I don't.
That's right.
I don't leave comments. I don't read comments. Yeah. It's not that I post anything controversial or anything like that. It's just when I go through social media, my last thing is to go through the comments. Because like people that live in the comments, I'm like,
let's talk about these people. Hopefully we can highlight this section and let's let this go viral. I might even boost this section. I want you to think about the time it takes to read something. Be cognizant of now we have to go, push comment. We're going to articulate in anger, and then you read it. You know they read it several times. Punctuation, okay, could someone make fun of me on this? Okay, no. And post. Or how about the people that see something during the course of their day, they take time to go, once again, cognizant, reach around to the back or your pocketbook, your purse, whatever, pick up your phone, swipe. The processes and steps to get to your thing, because you know the last thing's not on your page, it's someone else's, because you're always curious about what someone else is doing. And you go and you click and you look at your name and you go to post, all that. All those steps you took to push post to make a negative comment. Do you know how many other things you could have done in that time? Or the positive phone call you could have made, or reached out to somebody that you haven't talked to in quite some time, or how can I help someone else today, or walk an old lady across the street. But no, your profound thing in life is I'm going to make a comment because I want my opinion heard.
The emotional effort they had to put into that. And how much time not just spent, but the emotional effort to spend into it.
And
they let their entire world get shaken up.
It's a mental disconnect. Yeah. There's something wrong.
And you know what it is? Honestly, what it is, because it's like you said, they get consumed by that. Because this becomes their reality. The digital reality is the only reality that exists.
It's terrifying.
It is.
And you know what happens to people? They don't have a sense of control of their own lives.
Yeah.
And what they're doing is they're taking their sense of control in what they can do. And that's through their phone, through their comments.
I get it.
Not right,
it's their world.
But it's their world, and it's what they can have full autonomy and control over when maybe everything else is spinning out of control and around them. So they utilize that.
Maybe it's like a psychology session for them internally, because they feel like they're getting their word out. But the truth is, it's not profound. No one's paying attention to it. No one's sharing it. No one's liking it. And the only one that's sharing it and liking it, you know what I dislike the most is that when people see a negative comment and then they go and they take the time out to screen share and send it to you. You're like, did you see this?
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah.
Whatever that person says doesn't affect my bottom line, my wallet, my
Mm-hmm.
family life, nothing.
Exactly.
So I'm not looking at that. If you're looking at a troll on a local level,
Yeah.
and you think that's going to bother something that people are doing on a national level, we're not on the same page, kids.
Yeah.
So go ahead and continue. But anyway,
Yeah. It's but to answer your question, I think those people that are operating like those comment warriors, I think they're operating out of both fear and love, mostly fear, right?
yeah,
But I think there is a sense of love, and it's a weird, twisted sense of love. I'm not saying it's the right kind of love,
right.
but they feel like they want to help by
I'm trying to help you. I was trying to
Yeah,
do this.
exactly.
You're not.
exactly
You're making a fool out of yourself.
exactly.
And what about the business owner? What about the profound business owner that wants his opinion heard about religion or politics that's now cutting off 50% of either customer because they had to be heard?
Yeah,
Here's the funny
Oh,
thing about
okay.
it. It's also, if you realize, none of them, when they speak about it, they talk about it, none of it's actually looking to seek to understand. They're already ready to fight. They're already looking to have an argument before they even comment it, because whatever emotional feeling that comes out of it, if they really, like I said, if they really want to help, you look at to understand, okay, what's the issue with my process? Oh, it's because you feel like I'm not really considering what's helping here. Right, whatever the method I may have to the result is not what you think, but there's no process to look to understand. Like, hey, like you could just as quickly as you could comment and say something mean about like, oh, how could you? There's other ways you could spend your money, right? You could go and say, hey, just real quick, like you got time, like I want to just understand, like why'd you do this?
Yeah.
Let me ask you why. And there's a whole different way approach that people could do.
You're thinking in a pragmatic
Oh,
thought
exactly.
process, which majority of society is
I
not
know.
pragmatic.
Yeah.
So.
But you got to realize though, like there is so much more of how we can choose to react, because there's some people who just feel like it's the only option is just to spout out.
Yeah.
and it's, I think that you can have an opposing idea and still put positivity into the world.
I agree.
You know, you
100%.
don't just because you disagree with somebody doesn't mean you're spreading negativity. It's just called discourse. You know, you have two ideas, right? And you can ask questions that are opposing to the other person's idea and still bring positivity to that conversation or that discourse,
Agreed.
you know, and act out of love more than you're acting out of fear.
Yeah.
So I think if more people understood that and realized that negative comments just create more negativity, like that if they actually want to help, flesh out your idea, ask questions, don't be making statements.